I'm sorry I'm late, sir. I got lost. But permission to speak out of turn. Your boy's done good. You wrote so many wonderful stories for us. Well, if I may, I'll read one back to you. The story so far. In the northern land of Sommerland, it has for centuries been customary for parents to send their most gifted children to the monastery of the Kai on the occasion of their 7th birthday. There, they are taught the skills and martial disciplines of their noble ancestors. The Kai are masters of their art, and the children in their charge love and respect them in spite of the hardships of their training. For one day, when finally they've mastered the disciplines of the Kai, they will be able to return to their homes equipped in mind and body to defend themselves and their kin against the constant threat of war from the Dark Lords of the West. In olden times, during the Age of the Black Moon, the Dark Lords waged war on Sommerland. The conflict was a long and bitter trial of strength that ended in victory for the Sommerlanding at the great Battle of Markengorge. King Ulnar I, himself gifted with Kai powers, aided by the allies of Durno, broke the Dark Lord armies at the pass of Moitura and forced them back into the bottomless abyss of Markengorge. Vashna, mightiest of the Dark Lords, was slain aboard the sword of King Ulnar, called Sommersang, the Sword of the Sun. Since that age, the Dark Lords have vowed vengeance upon Sommerland and the House of Ulnar. Now it is morning on the feast day of Femaun, the first day of spring. It is an old tradition of the Kai to gather at their monastery in the foothills of the Derncrag Mountains on Femaun, in order to reaffirm their fealty to their god Kai and to the Sommerlanding House of Ulnar. Kai journeymen and envoys have travelled far to return in time for the celebrations, marking the beginning of a new year in Sommerland. You are a young Kai cadet called Silent Wolf. This is the name you were given by your Kai masters when first you entered the monastery. You are an initiate in this noble order, and this will be your 8th year you have taken part in the Femaun ceremony. Your feelings of pride and excitement are the same now as they were when you first arrived here from your home in the village of Dage, a little over half your short lifetime ago. The past few days have been an exciting time for you and your fellow cadets. The journeymen have been recounting their tales of battles won and quests fulfilled in distant lands. On this fateful morning, you've been sent to collect firewood in the forest as a punishment for your inattention in class. As you're preparing to return, you see to your horror a vast black cloud of black leathery creatures swoop out of the western skies and engulf the monastery. The Dark Lords, ancient enemy of the Sommerlanding, are attacking. War has begun. Dropping the wood, you race to the battle that has already begun, but in the unnatural dark, you stumble and strike your head on a low tree branch. As you lose consciousness, the last thing that you see in the distant shadows is the walls of the monastery and its warning tower, the crystal beacon, crashing to the ground. Many hours pass before you awake. With tears in your eyes, you now survey the scene of destruction. Raising your face to this clear sky, you swear vengeance on the Dark Lords for the massacre of the Kai warriors. And with a sudden flash of realization, you know what you must do. You must set off on a perilous journey to the capital city to warn the king of the terrible threat that you now faces his people. For you are now the last of the Kai. You are now Lone Wolf. I'll leave it for a moment for you to have your own personal thoughts with Joe, particularly for those of you who are unable to make it here. The summer isles are home no more. The yellow oak bore us ashore. Sommerlanding sun we blessed be, Sommerlanding sun for king and thee. By light and law our strength secure, our vows endure the dark beyond the mountains. Acorn and oak, we strong folk, we sons and daughters of the sun, the blood of the Lord in our veins doth run. Sommerlanding sun we blessed be, Sommerlanding sun for king and thee. And the traditional farewell. For Summerland and the Kai.